It's time for Coach's Corner. Business owners, pay.com.au and start earning rewards today.
Ben Gardiner, good morning and welcome. Great to have you company.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Mate, I heard you last Monday on here with Vossi. Of course, Beanies For Brain Cancer round, we've seen it. It's just an amazing spectacle, first and foremost, when we go to the footy, isn't it? And we see all those beanies, particularly the crushed watermelon this year. I thought that was for the win.
Yeah.
But again, a cause so close to your heart. It must have filled the heart this weekend seeing the game that you love wrapped around a cause so close to you.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like, to be able to watch a lot of the games on TV and see the beanies spread throughout the stadium. Before the warm-ups were even happening, people were off buying their beanies. You could see them as they entered into the ground, and all different colours, blended in with different teams, which was awesome. And to see every team run out with a beanie on, and that just wasn't the teams; it was the sideline officials, the NRL officials, like everyone that was involved in the game was wrapped around this cause for the weekend. And the whole week, so many things went on. Mark did so many things that were able to push the cause out there, and made a huge amount of money for fundraising. So that's what it's about at the end of the day, like making sure that the cause is out there, that there's awareness, and it gathers hope for people that their families and themselves are suffering from brain cancer.
$30 million that they'd raised through the first 10 years. And the Mark Hughes Foundation put out a statement last night saying the Beanies For Brain Cancer round has raised an amazing $3.8 million.
Just in one go.
In one weekend. And look, I go back to the very start of this. Now, Mark started the foundation a couple of years before Beanies For Brain Cancer started.
Yeah.
And he sort of went to the Knights and said, I've got a bit of an idea about, we're going to do these beanies. Do you reckon you could jump on board? And, of course, a much-loved person up there in Newcastle and the Knights, and the Knights jumped on board straight away.
Yeah.
But to see from where that's gone, where it's come to where it is, it's just amazing.
It's huge.
Have you seen, you've been around not just rugby league, but sport your whole life. Have you seen another cause get embraced by a sport than this?
I don't think so. Like, everyone is wearing the beanies, like not just the players, but the crowd. And it's not just like at the games, it's everywhere. Like, you see them all week, you're walking the streets and you see them. Like, it's a huge cause, and the way that the community gets around it, and it starts with the rugby league community, but then goes into the mainstream community. It's really cool, and that's why they're able to raise so much money.
Yeah, and I got a chance to interview Mark on the ground yesterday at Newcastle, and there's a lot of people like yourself, mate, who get behind this because there's a personal connection to it.
Yeah.
In Newcastle, there's a lot of people who get around to this because it's Mark Hughes.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's testament to the person he is that, and I said it to him yesterday that he doesn't probably quite comprehend it, understand it, and you understand that he doesn't understand it, but he's been such a great bloke and a great person for the club and the community up there, and this is just a way for the community to give back to him and his cause.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a good chat to him last week. I saw him on Tuesday at the launch for the Beanies For Brain Cancer round, and we're talking about the beanies, and then like the most obvious thing is what about your Knights? Like, how well are your Knights going? And like, he was just as happy to talk about that as the cause. Like, he's just a knock-around bloke that loves, spending time around rugby league, and then this cause has erupted on the back of that love for rugby league and people loving him and being a big part of Newcastle, like premiership winner up there, did so many, great things for the game, and then, fell unwell. And then he's used that to catapult this cause out to the world and out to the community. So, absolutely amazing the work that he's done over the weekend, and the whole foundation. Like, there's a lot of people behind this foundation. Like, Mark is the face of the foundation, but the people that are doing the work in the background to organise the media, organise the opportunities that are happening throughout the week, like, really great work from them, because they're the people that are really getting the beanies out there to the community.
There's two causes in sport that I've seen up front. In cricket in the summertime with the McGrath Foundation and the work that Glen McGrath is. Day 3 at the SCG, and I remember going back 16 years ago when that started, there was a few people turned up in pink on day 3. Now through the whole test match, everyone turns up in pink. But that day 3, pink day, Jay McGrath day, they unfurl the silk. And I still get tears in my eyes every time I see that, because I had the good fortune of meeting Jay McGrath many years ago. and to see the legacy that she's provided there and what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I think with the McGrath Foundation, they do an amazing job with one sport at the SCG.
Yeah.
But again, what you say, what the Mark Hughes Foundation is doing, and it is spreading beyond rugby league now.
It is, yeah.
I saw in the Newcastle Rugby League competition, all the teams in there got around it this weekend, but other sports as well. And I think that's where they can take this now.
I think so. It was actually funny at the launch of the Beanie for Brain Cancer round. Mark talked about Andrew Abdo going to tennis, and he said he looks forward to next year. The two people coming out for the Australian Open final with the beanies on and playing the first set with the beanies on, which might be a little bit hot, but you get the idea.
Yeah, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? See the tennis players in 40 degrees coming out with beanies on. Ben, we got so much rugby league to talk about. We've got Panthers to talk about. We've got the big round of round 17, but also State of Origin. We're going to get all your reactions to that. But in the meantime, here's the news. Heaps of rugby league to come. It is the front office with Hawkey here this morning, Monday morning. Heaps to talk about in the world of rugby league. Penrith Panthers, hasn't this led up the text board already? Good morning, Glenn. As a long-time Panthers fan, I feel we no longer have the impact coming off the bench that we had in previous years, and it's starting to tell. Cowboys brought on Cohen Hess, and one other forward that escapes my mind, who kept steamrolling and going through for the Cowboys. That's Panther Cole. Also from the Coffs Panther, we lost the Gold Coast by a point with 5 of our starting side out during the Origin period. I wouldn't be reading into that loss at all. We were absolutely awful against North Queensland from the very first tackle when we lost the ball, and the rest of the game continued that theme. Credit to North Queensland, though. They played great, but we were really, really bad. Ben Gardiner, you've had a front row seat to this.
I have, yes.
To this Penrith side over the last few years, and obviously you watch them very closely. Firstly, what have you made of those? Firstly, that Titans performance with the players out, and then going into that North Queensland game. What did you make of those two performances?
Yeah, the one against the Titans, I wasn't too concerned about. There was a lot of young guys out of the team. It is noted when Nathan Cleary doesn't play, they do score about half the points that they would normally score. So obviously it's going to be a lower scoring game, and there's more pressure put on their defence. Weren't able to defend quite as well as what they would have liked in that game. Went up to North Queensland. North Queensland's an interesting place to play. It's super hot. And the humidity was like 77%, they said. So the greatest impact that has on you is your ball control.
Yeah.
And if you look at the ball control on the weekend, they had 17 errors. The week before they had 16, which is, I think, almost double what they've had in any other game this year. So that error count is just a real simple focus point for them, like their ball control. And Nathan talked about fundamental skills after the game and controlling the ball. We've got to get back to our fundamental skills. We've got to do our basic practice, get the basics right. You get the basics right, you then get the big parts right. So I think that there's some really simple focuses there for them.
And I think that's probably the bit that shocked a lot of, not just Panthers fans, but the rugby league world, because this is a team that's been so well drilled and so well disciplined, and that for such a long time has done the simple things over and over and over again exceptionally well. I think seeing them stray away from this, it's been quite mind-blowing for the rest of the competition. Yeah,
I'm not too concerned about it. Like, as you said at the start, I've been in the thick of it there for a few years, and the big thing for me is this has happened every year over the last few years, so it's not something uncommon, and it does happen with teams where you go through periods where you're tinkering with your game. It was noticeable on the weekend. They tried to move the ball out of yardage a little bit more. They had some errors around that. That's evolution of the game. So for any team to stay in the year and in the hunt for the whole year, they need to sort of shift their game a little bit, mix it up with opposition defences, make them have to keep thinking about what they're doing. So that's what they're doing at the moment. Like, just a few things about the Panthers, 20 metres more per game than any other team. First in metres in the competition, first in line breaks. They've scored 10 more tries than any other team in the competition. They have 20 more tackle breaks per game than any other team in the competition. Like, if that is not a team that's not leading the way in this competition, I'm a pretty bad judge, I think.
So when you go to the situations happen like this, all of a sudden, it's not a case of the Penrith Panthers have forgotten how to play rugby.
No way. No way.
But when you see, is it just a case of it is a long season and every club will go through those peaks and troughs? It's simple as that?
It's as simple as that. They need to just write a few little small things, and it's probably more around training. You generally fall back to the level of your training. So if your training is mixed up. So let's say, for example, they've had the Origin players in and out. Like you talked about 5 Origin players coming in and out of training. That means that they've had combinations that have been adjusted and stuff like that. So they've got this period going on for this 6-week period through Origin, which they always have, where there's adjustments being made. The Origin players don't get the practice that they would normally get because they're in Origin camp. The combinations aren't lent on as much because guys are in Origin camp. So there's just some adjustments that are happening there. What they need to do is they need to do exactly what Nathan talked about after the game. They need to embed on their fundamentals in attack and defence. They can get those individual parts right. They've got the talent there to be able to put the combinations together come game time. The interesting thing is after the next Origin or around this Origin period, they're going to have another game without those Origin players. So they're going to have to get out and win that because the last thing they'd want is to lose 3 in a row.
Funny you say that they're going to be without Origin players.
Yes.
One player that will be there, who the Panthers are not in the Origin, is Brian To'o.
Yeah. I'm sorry to laugh.
No, Laurie's, and I love that you laugh, and this is what I want to get from you. It's probably been the biggest story that's come out of the Origin selection for game number 3.
Yeah, it is.
First reaction from you. What was your first reaction?
I cannot believe it. Brian To'o is made for Origin. Yeah. He's an Origin-style player. He's been one of their best players over the last number of years that he's been playing. Let's look at some of his information. 188 metres per game this year. Yeah. He's in the top 10 in the comp. 59 tackle breaks. He's in the top 10 in the comp. He's only had 11 errors for the whole competition. He's played 13 games. That's less than 1 error per game. 233 carries, which puts him 6th in the competition for carries. So what they're going to need to do, they're going to take this guy out that carries the ball over 20 times a game. Someone else needs to do that. Yeah. Jack Bostock doing a great job at centre, but he's not playing on the wing. Now all of a sudden he needs to catch bombs. Now all of a sudden he needs to return around and get back for the kick return. Now all of a sudden he needs to be the guy carrying out of the backfield when 13 defenders are getting up in his face. This is a big change for Jack, and that's something that Brian is excellent at. That's his game. That's what he does. Also want to add in there, if this is an errors thing, which I'm not sure, what Laurie's thinking there, Mark Nawonga-Nitawasi, he had 30 errors in the competition. He is number 1 in errors in the competition. So how does Brian To'o not make the team? He seems like a sacrificial lamb, which is a really strange sacrificial lamb, considering all the positive work that he's done with his team and with the Origin team over the last few years.
Laurie Daly held a press conference at 9 o'clock this morning. The tourist has been busily working away at the back. He's got a grab from Laurie Daly right now on Brian To'o.
Yeah, it's sort of not so much tall we're looking at. We're just looking at maybe a different option with the ball in the air to attack with, but also today's game, because the kick, there's so many more contested possessions. So you've got to be able to obviously get off the ground. You've got to be able to catch the ball and make it a contest. So it was more just that Bizza gives us something different to what Jack will give us. But we just think for this game 3, that's the way we're going to go.
Thoughts, Ben Gardiner?
The tall thing is a fair point. Brian is a shorter guy. Jack's a bigger guy. But I tell you what, if you get your defence right and you get them down in the opposition corner and you can get your line speed up, you shouldn't be catching attacking kicks anyway as a defensive team. Yeah. So Brian shouldn't be having to stand there on his try line and have JJ Fafita jump over the top of him if they get their defensive game right to start off with. So you're basically changing something when you should be getting the team part right. I can't believe that Brian's not in the team. It's such a strange change. And to not even have him in there in the 20, come on.
Tourist and I were talking about this first up this morning. And I was loath to even say this. And as I sit here today with my New South Wales Blues hoodie on, well entrenched in Blues camp, would Queensland have dropped Brian To'o?
No way in the world. Absolutely no way in the world. You think about it, Munster went into the Origin period, and Munster and Brian, different positions, but been in their teams for long time. Yeah. Both guys that bring great energy. They're stalwarts of the two teams. They would never drop Munster. Munster had a shocking start to the year, but he's still in the team, and look what he did. He found form on the back of it. You talk to Brian about it, you say to him, mate, come on, we need an improvement, we need more from you, and you watch him react, but instead, he's not playing, doesn't get a chance to do that.
Ben Gardiner joining us for the Coach's Corner on Monday with the front office, Glen Hawke in the chair. We've got heaps more to come. Plenty more Origin chat coming up soon. Great to have a Samoan coach and Bears assistant coach, Ben Gardiner, joining us in the front office on this Monday morning. Ben, we're talking New South Wales State of Origin. I want to head across to Queensland now. Squad's been named in alphabetical order.
It has.
We could probably piece it together where we think these teams, or the team's going to line up in the end. But it looks like the way the changes are going to be mainly to the bench for this Queensland side.
You would think so. A couple of guys come in that are of note. So Carrigan comes back in after being out. Horsburgh comes back in. I think that the Raiders have the bye this weekend, so that's a good pick from Billy, so he doesn't disrupt another team for a 20th man or a 19th man. The big one for me is Nenai. I think his form has been unbelievable. I thought that coming back into the game on the weekend, he brought energy, he brought ferocity, he brought intentions against the Panthers, and thought that he was one of the main reasons that the Cowboys really stepped up on the weekend. Had a few really good games under his belt. He finished the end of the year last year really strongly. I think that he's going to put some pressure on some guys to actually play in the Origin this week. And if he plays, look out New South Wales, because he's a threat in the air. He's ferocious physically in defence, and he's got great footwork. So he's a guy that will really add to their team, I think. And
no surprises that with the rest of the side, they come out from a win.
Yeah. Pick and stick, as per what we just talked about. Queensland tends to do. They have the trust in their players. And, I think that they've built a really strong team over this Origin series. And they've blooded a few young guys, which has been great. But, I think that they'll stick with their mainstays. And, they got the spine there to really put some pressure on New South Wales. So it's going to be a great game.
I want to touch back on this New South Wales side again. You mentioned, we spoke about Brian To'o not being there, Jack Bostock in on the wing. Let's look at that other side, Mark Nawaqanitawase, and you mentioned about the errors that he's had in his game. But one thing we saw in game 2 with his debut, and we've seen in his time with the Roosters, he's spectacular with the ball in the hand. Like his strike rate for tries is, I think it was something like 38 from 34 games before this weekend. It's been phenomenal. I think where we got probably caught out at different times was defensively. Now we see Stephen Crichton will be lining up against him. As we're talking about in the break there, having Liam Martin on that side as well. That's going to stiffen up that side.
Yeah, I think that people would go, Crichton's in there. He's one of the best defenders in the game. Can play left or right. We'll assume that he'll play on the right. But I don't think that that's going to be the main thing that's going to make the defence stronger on that time of the side. I think it's Liam Martin. So you think about the Liam Martin, Nathan Cleary combination, play together week to week at Clubland. And then you've got Critter out there outside them. The three of them have played a lot of footy together. I think it'll be more about those three guys taking control of what that edge is doing and how they're going to defend. And then on the end of it, Mark Nawaqanitawase jumps into the system that they're going to work. I think it'll be a real pressure-orientated defensive system. I think Liam Martin will get great line speed because, as you know, he wants to get up in their face. That'll allow Nathan Cleary to do the same thing. And I think based on last game, there was a lot of guys on different pages on that side of the field. Staggs was on a different page to Nathan. Nathan was on a different page to Lucas. I think that will all be tidied up. And I think that right-hand side is going to be a lot stronger. Obviously, they're up against Ponga on his best side of the field, Munster on his best side of the field. So they're going to have to be really good. But I think that the Queensland attack will probably go to the other side of the field this time. They'll go to New South Wales left side where there's less combination practice there.
All right, still plenty. We want to get your thoughts on State of Origin selections. Has Laurie got it right? Or is Laurie on the pipe here this morning? 0457 736 736. Give us your thoughts on State of Origin selection. We're going to come back very soon and talk more to Ben Gardiner about the West. Morning on this Monday morning, Ben, plenty of great action at the Suncorp Stadium.
Huge.
Dolphins against the Warriors, who was pitted as probably the match of the round and certainly didn't disappoint.
No, it was the match of the round by far. Went right down to the last minute, 26-24. What a huge game. And I just loved how both of the teams played. It was really physical. There was a little bit of bash and barge and physicality in it that we didn't see in all of the games over the weekend. But, what about the Dolphins? Since Marshall King has come back into that team, they've been winning on the trot. You look at the impact that he has on the game. I thought both the hookers were amazing on the weekend, but his impact to hold up the ruck and the markers and the A defenders just gives a lot of opportunities for those guys on the outside. Like the inches that you control in the middle of the field open up the space for the Herbie Farnworths and the Bostocks on the end of the line. I really love how the Dolphins are playing. Like if you look at with about 15 minutes to go in the first half, the game started to turn. They had in the middle of the field Plath, Marshall King, Donahue and Stone, smaller middles, faster middles that you can use footwork.
Yeah.
At that same time, the Warriors had big guys in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And that's where the game's going, I think. Fast dummy half, fast footwork, passing skill, being able to then go to the edge and put guys under pressure. Like I thought the Dolphins were amazing.
What about the Warriors on the other side? They've had their injury issues.
They have, yeah.
But they're still in their kicking at the moment.
Holding strong. I think that these two teams, the Warriors included, have done a great job over the last few years at building depth into their squads.
Yep.
So if you look at the guys that have come in, like they had a guy like Tanner Stowers-Smith, who started, I think, his 4th or 5th game of his career, comes in and starts and does a really good job. Whereas I reckon 2 or 3 years ago, guys like that coming in, they would have struggled with the fitness and they would have struggled with the intensity, but now they're up to speed with that. So I think both of these teams, because of their depth, they go deep into the finals this year.
Yep.
If they do have injuries, they will be able to handle some of the big games, but I think their challenge is to make sure they have their guys on the park. And if you look at the Dolphins, they're going to have Katoa out now for a few weeks, so that gives an opportunity for other guys to step up and really rise. When Katoa comes back in, the team should be like thriving forward. So that's a really important part of the next few weeks for them.
Can they win it?
I think that they can win it, yeah. I think that if they get the right type of game, they can win it. I think their challenge is to, keep their guys on the field, but also to, keep playing the way that they play. Don't try and change and play like the Panthers or the Warriors. Strive forward with their style of footy, and that will win them big games.
Ben Gardiner, thanks for joining us
Thank you.
Monday for the Coaches' Corner here in the front office. The front office getting you through your work days, all thanks to Red Energy. Red Energy has plans to suit homes right up to big businesses. Call redenergy.com.au. Still to come, the Dr. Dave Riccio, he's going to give us all the latest on the State of Origin selections. Brett Phillips, he's going to chime in the last hour, talk to us all about the upcoming Wimbledon. Starts tonight. Your calls, 1300 01 1170 or text anytime 0457 736 736. Still heaps more to come. It is the front office with Hawkey in the chair.
Want more like that? Listen to SEN 1170 on the radio or on the SEN app. SEN, the home of sport.